Hi, this is John Ondo from Marketing Media and Cupcakes. And before we get into today's episode, I just want to say thank you so much for listening. We're back after being gone for over 4.5 years. And I hope you get a chance to listen to episode 77, where we explain why we were gone for so long and that we're back for at least 3 more episodes. Angel and I are big supporters of entrepreneurship, and we love small businesses and faith-based businesses. And we just want to encourage you through our podcast each week. What's going to determine if we continue with more episodes will be the response. Subscribe to us on your platform. Send us an email at john@ondomedia.com. That would help us know you're listening and you want more episodes. So thank you so much, and let's get into today's episode.
So you have 5 points that we're going to cover, and those 5 points are titled...
What do you mean?
So these 5 points are what? Is this?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, I forgot this sounded like a header.
So it's 5 points.
Are we still doing
yourself.
Selling yourself? Okay.
This is the small business podcast that is sweeter than all the rest. Marketing, media, and cupcakes.
Do you have problems selling your business? You see where I'm doing a question at the top because that's the last thing you need to do in a TV commercial. And as I just found out, you, my wife, Angel, over here is talking with me.
Yes.
You say that that's also the wrong thing to do when you train people for customer service.
It is. It's definitely the wrong. You should
never lead with a question.
Never. I mean, we don't even ask our customers, when do you want it delivered? Because we don't want to have the conversation.
This is great.
So if I say, because somebody's like, well, why don't you ask them? I'm like, because they're going to say tomorrow. We're going to have to say no.
No, yeah.
It's just going to be ugly. So we just don't say anything.
Well, this is fabulous because we are a podcast for small businesses, big businesses, and emerging businesses. My name is John Ondo, and I'm a filmmaker and a media consultant and a podcast host. And my wife is a customer service pro. She trains people. She's been doing it for 27 years. She's that wonderful voice you'll hear at the phone that's competent and able to get your stuff on the boat and over here. And she has a cupcake business, hence why we're called Marketing, Media, and Cupcakes, in case you're joining us. Because we're in season 2 now. I don't know if you knew that or not.
Oh, my God. When did we cross over into season 2?
Well, I made a couple mistakes.
Oh.
I shouldn't admit to.
Some mathematical calculations?
Well, remember when we did our 50th show?
I do remember.
And I said it doesn't make sense that we're on our 50th show because I know we started on June 24th. I was wrong. We didn't start on June 24th. It was actually in the end of May. So it made sense then that we were on our 50th. So technically, 2 weeks ago, we should have switched over to season 2, but who cares? What we want to do today is talk about, especially for those of you, if you're like me, you have maybe a video production business, what I would call a creative arts business, photographer, wedding videographer, baker. You have a creative job that you're trying to do by yourself, and you're up against all the big companies in town with the big staffs and the cars that are all with the vinyl stuff on them with the logos, They call they wrap, they're vinyl wrap on the cars.
Yes.
You don't have vinyl wrap on your car.
Maybe you do.
Well, maybe you do because you're one of those big fancy ones. I don't have vinyl wrap on my car.
You could.
I wouldn't do
But
that.
see, that's my point.
Well, you can't do that in television. We always say that because nobody wants to see a television car parked outside your house because you naturally figure, it's a pedophile and they're trying to...
Oh, my goodness.
What's his name from...
You're going to have to edit all that out.
No, it's true. You don't want to see it. You can't do investigative reports if your car's marked ABC 6 or whatever it is.
Yet I see their vans all the time say ABC 6.
Yeah, but they don't do the investigative stuff then. You can't do investigative stuff with a car that's vinyl wrapped. It's just a law.
So let's start over again. What are we doing again here? What is the name of this? What is the name of this podcast?
Well, we're talking. Well, see, it should be episode 56.
It should be episode something, season 55.
We're talking about if you're a small business owner and you're in what I call the creative arts, maybe media, maybe baking, maybe you're by yourself or with a few people and you're trying to make a
Could it be graphic design? Could it be someone doing
And
things?
you're starting out and you're like, how do I make this work? How do I sell myself? How do I sell my company? This is your podcast right here.
John has kindly put together for us 5 points about selling yourself. So how can you sell yourself? because you're not just selling your business, but you're selling yourself. And John's going to kind of go through those points with us.
And you're not selling your product either.
True.
Believe it or not.
This is true. You're not. John's going to tell you about the 5. So John, what is the first one? I have to do this one because everyone that I not live with, but work with, they always say it's not all about you. Well, your first point, it is about you. It's the once in your life, it is about you.
You are inseparable from your business, especially if it's a creative one. I could have called my company Columbus Video Production. Since we're in Columbus, Ohio, I could have called it Ohio or Buckeye Video Production. It was probably taken. I did Ondo Media because I wanted my name associated with it. And you might say, well, it's an egotistical thing. Well, no. I believe my name means quality with video production. It may not mean quality with lawn mowing or fixing toilets, but it does mean quality with media. So that's why I went with Ondo Media. Plus, it was easier to get a domain name. So, but you have to you just think about it. I hope there's not a Columbus Video Production company in town called Columbus Video Production, but hi, I work for Columbus Video Production. Okay, great. Hi, I own Ondo Media. That's me. It's my name. I think it is about you. Angel's Custom Cupcakes. Yep. You could have called it something else, but it's your custom cupcakes. Yep. One person runs that show. So I do believe, not in all cases, there's always rule breakers, but I do believe it is about you. And it's not egotistical. I think it's branding. It's personal branding when you sit out and say, this is, my name here, company. It is about you. So that's the first thing. And this all happened. I've done these points before with hundreds of people, it seems like, but I just had coffee with a lovely guy who I'm actually his wife is working with me on some website and search engine fun issues. And I met with him for breakfast, and he's new in video production. And I began running through these points, and I'm like, we need to talk about these on the podcast. Because I do this all the time with young people, and I think it's important you understand.
You do it with everybody.
I do.
I mean, I hear it. I when I'm home working and I hear him down here, he gets a call and it's somebody new. Hey, what can I do for you? And I hear him just going through some of these very similar, these points that he's going to go. Like the second one that you're going to discuss, which is, it's not about the competition.
I know a lot of people sit back, and I know even with you sit back as a cupcake company and say, I can't charge you this much because you can run down the road and get a $30 sheet cake.
Yep.
But you're not making a sheet cake.
No.
So oftentimes people will sit back and say, well, I can't charge, $5,000 for a video. That's what the XYZ company with 30 employees. Well, I guarantee you, they aren't doing exactly what you're doing. So stop putting yourself in line with, I'm competing with them. You're not competing with them. You are an option. You are an alternative to them.
Sure.
I'll give you a couple examples. I have 38 years in television, different places, but then I started my company in 2009, 2010 in that area. It started part-time and went full-time. And, I knew a lot of the guys at some of the really big production houses in town. And here's you want to know about my competition? They're really good. They're good guys. I know most of them. And they do, I know one is the Post House. They do everything for the Columbus Blue Jackets. Rick Green and that team and Tim and everybody there, they're fabulous. And we talk all the time, on Instagram and stuff. Hey, that looks really good and this and that. And I have no problem with that because I'm not going to get the Columbus Blue Jacket account. I don't want the Columbus Blue Jacket account.
Oh, you'd kill for the Columbus
I would
Blue
like
Jacket.
it, but it's
the amount of work.
A lot of work and a lot of pressure, and they do a really good job at it.
Yeah.
So I have no issues telling them, you guys are doing good work. And every now and then I get a call from somebody who's like, we have a $250,000 budget. I hate to say this, but I don't deal with those types of budgets. I deal with small businesses that I can work with directly. I work with them. When you work with a larger company, you deal with account executives and creative people and project managers, And that's well and good, and that's how it should be done, but that's not how I work. Again, this is part of what I'm different about. So I'll say, you know what? You need to talk to Tim and the guys at Post House. They're really good. Or if you need to rent a camera, you don't want my camera because I need my camera, but call, my buddies over at Ohio HD. And so I network with people. I recommend to everybody, and I said this to you one time, we found out that there was another person doing custom cupcakes in our own subdivision here. Mm-hmm. And I said, you need to reach out to that person and say, hi, I'm here too. I don't want competition. I want people I can call up and say, hey, I got a camera that just went down. Could you loan me yours or I'll pay you or something? Mm-hmm. Absolutely. If you're a jerk and want to be a jerk and I'm not going to work with any, well, you're screwing yourself.
Well, my poor son who is trying to get into, and he's trying to create his own brand, and I said, why don't you reach out to these guys that you're following? See if they'll give you any information. See if they'll give you and he went to one individual, and I don't even know who it was, so I can't, mm-hmm. crap on them on this because that's what I'd like to do, because to me it's like, give the kid a break. And he just asked a simple question. Hey man, can you tell me how you get XYZ printed? How is it that you're able to, not end up with a ton of merchandise? And the guy could offer him nothing other than, you learn over time. Really? Well, we all learn over time. If I stick my head in the oven more than once, I'm going to eventually get burned. I'll learn that over time.
I'm a big believer.
So share. Don't be so stingy.
I don't believe in karma, but whatever you want to equate karma to, the biblical principle is what you put out is what's going to come back to you.
At tenfold.
Yeah. So when you don't put out, when you're a jerk to the competition, and when you say do you badmouth the competition? Now I know people in town that won't do as good of a job as me, but I won't ever badmouth them. I'll just say, the only thing I'll say is I have more experience than them, or I focus on this and they focus on that. I've had competitors who are friends of mine who I called up and said, hey, such and such just called me up. They would like a quote. And they go, oh, don't work with them. Don't work with them. We had them and they were horrible. Those are people looking out for each other, and I can't emphasize enough. Don't make enemies of your competition. Make friends with your competition. You never know when you got to borrow something, or they may they get slammed, and they say, "Hey, we're going to send a couple customers over to you. Can you do them either under your brand or could you do them under our?" And you work together. There's enough money to be made out there. My premise.
Exactly, and that's why point 2 and 3 are really so closely related. Is the networking part, is making sure that you are aware of your competition. So, I know that I am not some of the bigger named, cupcake businesses here. There's, a new one that went in last year. I follow them on Instagram. Why not? But I love looking at their stuff.
But just because they're new and maybe you think bigger does not make them better than what you do.
No. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that, being aware of your competition.
Yeah.
If you're not networking with them, it's being that awareness. Yeah. Who's doing what I'm doing? Who do I, how do I need to do? So again, both of those points I think are very important.
One of the things I want to recommend to those of you who are starting your businesses, when I started mine, and again, I had a lot of experience, but I joined, and one of my side points of this was I had just gone through my divorce. I had nothing. I just had my business, and the edit monitor for my edit system was also my TV at night, so I just moved it into the other room. That's how bad it was. But we survived. So the point of this is I still took my credit card, and I joined a couple business clubs in Columbus because I wanted to be able to network and hand out business cards, which I had professionally printed. I didn't just have them printed on the printer after I learned that they didn't look good. Because that's my image, that's my brand. So I took care of business cards, I joined some, and I networked. And I did do some volunteer videos for a couple of organizations. I know you need to do that, but be careful when you volunteer your services. One, you should not do it for free. What I mean by that is, you may not get paid, but you should definitely have some promotional considerations. So the videos that I produced for a couple of nonprofit, big-time fundraisers, I wanted to make sure that the videos were going to be seen, and they were big banquet hall tuxedo type events. So I knew doctors and lawyers and potential customers were going to see this video. And I also said I would like to be in the program. So they couldn't pay me for the $2,000 video, but they gave me a lot of promotion that night, let me put my logo on the end of the video, thanked me from the stage. So that was okay. So it's really more of a trade out. So don't volunteer your video or photography or cupcakes unless you're going to get something in return. Now, if you're just doing it because you love the nonprofit, that's a different situation. But if you're trying to build your business, you need to have some kind of way to leverage that. And if it's a good nonprofit, and I only work with good nonprofits, they will be more than happy to say, thank you for donating this $2,500 video. We will make sure you're in these ads. It costs them nothing to do that. But also don't give away the story either. Don't just start doing freebies, because then you will be forever doing freebies and not making any money. So that's part of that networking thing is you do have to build a demo. You do have to build that resume, and networking will help you do that.
Well, number 4 is my personal favorite, but it says, it's be a unicorn,
yes,
or be unique, or basically what is it that you bring that is different and unique?
What Ondo Media is based on is storytelling. So
yes,
when people come to me and say, what is it you do, or what is it you specialize in, I say storytelling. Now, that I know they don't want to hear that. They want to, do you do commercials? Do you do documentaries? Do you do that? But I do throw that out there because it's important, because this also helps me know what my potential client knows about everything.
Yep.
Because sometimes I have people who will just like, I just want to show off this product. I'm like, I honestly don't care what your product is. What's the story? We just are finishing a lovely, it's a commercial about a little fob for security, but the story behind
the story
is about
powerful.
a young girl who was murdered, who between the time she was kidnapped and murdered was 2 hours, and she had no way to notify anyone because her cell phone was taken. So that's the story. It's not about the fob. The fob is just the thing at the end. The story is, you've got to have this thing because there is no way to protect you. So that's a long route to explain what I do, but and this is the beautiful thing. That client, as soon as I said that, they were already on that page with me, and I'm like, I can do this with you. I have other clients who call me up, and you have to be you have to be able to say, I can't do this, because you will lose your mind. When you have a client that will say, I want it this way, we've done this before, and we know. Well, if it goes contrary to what I believe, which is the story sells the product, and you want me just to make a flashy, stinking commercial, no, feel free, please, to go to somewhere else that will do that. That's not what I do here. We tell stories, whether it's podcast, documentary, commercial, or fundraising. So story building is kind of the filter for everything we do, and I hope anybody who understands Ondo Media, and nothing makes me feel warmer when I hear someone say, when you see John's work, he's an amazing storyteller. That means everything to me. People tell me the shots and the videography or the audio sounds great, but the storytelling is the key. So that's my unicorn gift. So whatever it is, you do custom cupcakes, you do custom cakes. Some of them you might find something that looks like it on Pinterest, but the key thing that you do is not only does it look amazing, it tastes dope, as your son would say. There's no dope in it. It's just it tastes amazing because it's mainly butter. And but so what is your unicorn? What makes you unique?
And as you found, and literally, because John just basically did 0.5 going through his part about his unit, but it's selling yourself.
Right.
You have to have the confidence to sell yourself, whether it be your experience, whether it be, it could be, John's got some really great equipment, and some people who know what that equipment is, him saying, oh yeah, well, I shoot with this or that, or I have this or that can be a selling point to some people. Be. And some people like the fact that I am a home baker.
Yeah.
People like that it's, I'm here and it's just me.
You're not a factory spitting out cakes every 10 minutes.
Exactly, and that I don't have a staff, and there's advantages and those points that you sell yourself to that person.
So there's a reason why I have sell yourself last.
Yes.
Because you can't sell yourself if you don't know, that it's about you, and you don't know what your competition is, and you don't have any networking, so you can say, yes, we just did this XYZ company's video.
Yep.
And you also need to know how you're unicorn. You can't sell yourself first if you don't know that I am the only guy in town that does this. I have the 4 Emmys here in the office.
Yep.
Yes, they intentionally show up behind my screen when I'm on a Zoom call, And I know you may say, well, that's very egotistic. No, that's part of my unicorn. I have 38 years of experience. I have 4 Emmys. I have 7 tellies. I have other things that I show off.
Yep.
That's what makes me special, and that's why I charge what I do, because I have worked very hard for all that. So that's selling myself. Now, let's flip it over to me or someone else, like the young man I was talking to the other day who doesn't have any of that. And I could see it in his eyes. That was his question. I don't have 38 years like you do. I don't have any Emmys. I don't have anything. I just love doing this. And I said, that's really the only thing you need to sell me on. I said, how are you at selling yourself? I'm not real good. I don't have the experience. I said, you don't need to they don't really care about you, the clients. They have a problem. And your detective work is to sit down with, if you can get them, hey, I'm John Ondo and I'm a filmmaker. Can I sit down with you for a few minutes to find out something about your business? You sit down if you can get the call or whatever, and just the question I ask all the time: How's your business going? How's your potatoes? How's your crops?
Yeah.
How's your business going? Well, you know what? We're really struggling right now because nobody's allowed in our showroom. This is the big thing for him. He told me about he wants to do car videos. I said, nobody wants to go to a showroom anymore. So, well, you know what? I can fix that problem. I can bring the showroom to your clients by doing a video. And you are now the hero. So by listening, you can figure out, maybe you can't fix it, but I'm betting you can. You meet with somebody and like, I've got a wedding, blah, blah, blah. What kind of cupcakes do you need? I can do these kind of cupcakes, and they'd be very simple and they'd be affordable. You just became the hero. So for selling yourself, I know it's intimidating, but it's really not. Don't go in on, hi, I'm big time filmmaker and I do this and I do that, because they will fry you when they say, well, what have you done? Because you made the story about you. You come in and say, tell me about your business. How is the business going? We're having struggles right now. We need to do this. Our website's not working. I can fix your website, or I can build a video, or I could guide you with social media consulting. So now it's not about it's what you can do for them, and versus you walk in and say, hey, why don't you be my client? No. But if I can come in and say, tell me a little bit about what's your biggest struggle right now? Why are your sales down or your sales up? What's the struggle? Well, here's what we can do, and then you can solve the problem. So that's my 5 steps. It is about you. It's not about your competition. You do need to network with people. You need to be a unicorn, which means you need to be something special, something that nobody else is doing. So you stand out above the rest, and you can explain why your rates are, lower, higher, or whatever they might be because of the specialty you do. And then selling yourself, which I'll just say, really sell yourself, scratch that out, and just say, listen. Listen to your clients and ask them what they need. And you will be a hero, and your business will grow, because that's just servant leadership, servant capitalism, as I would refer to it. So here's my sign-off story I'm going to share, and I'm actually going to try to put this in a video at some point. So Angel and I were out buying a tree the other day, and we got onto the highway, and we got behind a Krispy Kreme donut truck. Oh,
yes.
On the back of the truck, it said, "This truck does not carry cash." Now, I thought about this, and I really want you, if you're sitting here now saying, my life isn't what it's supposed to be, or I've made mistakes, or things with my business aren't working, I want you to hear what I'm about to say. So this Krispy Kreme donut truck has a thing saying, there's no cash in the truck. And I'm sitting back saying, if I'm a criminal, I don't want your cash. I want the donuts. Because the donuts are the real value in that truck, not the cash, in which they didn't have any anyway. But apparently somebody at Krispy Kreme thought, I need to put the sign here because the cash is so important, but it's not. The donuts are more important because the donuts are magical. So I thought about this, and I began to realize how often we in our own lives will sit back and say, my business is not that good. Why do people not love me, or whatever the case may be? And you start looking at your value and going, I carry no cash on my truck. And what I want you to understand, and again, we are people of faith here, that God sees you, and you need to see yourself as that donut truck, that the donuts are the most important thing. You're sitting back thinking, I don't have any cash. And God's looking at it saying, I don't care about the cash. I love the donuts in you. You are a donut. And that's a beautiful thing. So if you're sitting back thinking the cash, I don't have the cash. I don't have the this. I don't have the that. I don't have anything. I'm telling you, you're wrong. You have a donut. And that's the most important thing. Don't be like the sign on the truck. Oh, don't rob me because I don't carry cash. Oh, I'm robbing you because you're carrying donuts. And your donuts are what's important with you. So if you think there's something wrong with your life or your business isn't working right or your marriage isn't working right, it's probably because you're thinking you don't have any value. And I'm telling you, you have value because you're a donut. I hope you're picking up what I'm putting down. So
now you're just making me want a donut.
Well, that's part of that's the value of the donut. If I talked about money, okay, I will go work some more. But donuts, well, let's go get one. So,
yeah.
So anyway, if you want to follow us, you can follow us on Instagram and on Marketing Media Cupcakes, as well as on Facebook. Someday I'll get a Twitter going. And if you want to find out more about Angels Custom Cupcakes, angelscustomcupcakes.com. If you want to find out more about our media production, it's ondomedia.com. And we do podcast production, we do film production, we do everything that does with the story.
Yes.
So until we see you next time, and we got some more great shows lined up next week, so stay tuned. Keep living the dream.
Connect with John and Angel via Facebook and Instagram and let us know your thoughts. Marketing Media and Cupcakes is a production of Ondo Media.